Past 8 o'clock right now, and it's time to visit with our party scoopers. Craig Robinson is joining us in studio right now. Michelle Brown in studio as well. As we were talking about things politically with a little different twist, and we were just chatting and jokingly chatting about somebody coming into town who, if you had to pick sides, would be on the Republican side.
Or the Trump side.
Or the Trump side. We're talking about Ted Nugent is going to be over at Hoyt Sherman a little later on tonight.
Is he a cabinet member?
I mean,
in this administration, he could be.
Yeah, no, tell us about this, because when he comes to town like this, you know, he's very outspoken, no matter what topic that he is on the side of. Does he ever come and speak on behalf of Republicans?
You know, it's one of those things when you are in Iowa and you're a candidate or a party in especially a presidential year. I wouldn't be surprised that there could be an after-party event or before something that would include him. I don't know of anything that's going on now that he's involved in.
You weren't invited to the backstage party?
I wasn't.
No.
I'm kind of upset about it. But that stuff does happen. And it's one of those rarities that if you live in Iowa or New Hampshire, you get the bonus of, hey, if someone's in town doing a concert, they might just give you, you know, an hour or two that you could use it to either raise money, reward volunteers, or do something. So
that really is that really a benefit to the party having that happen?
It can be. I mean, look, Katy Perry came to Iowa, I think did a concert, did something for Hillary Clinton.
Yes,
I mean,
did.
the thing that kind of bugs us Republicans is that the Democrats will have Katy Perry and we have Ted Nugent.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing against Ted Nugent, but I mean, the star power is a little bit higher on the other side of the ticket sometimes.
Oh, it all depends on how you look at it.
It all depends.
If you ask me, I think Ted has the winning hand here. If you're putting cards down.
Sure.
But anyway, it just depends on what happens there.
Right. No, it's there's always a lot going on in Iowa and stuff, and so, you know, that's kind of the benefit we get. That's politics kind of, there's, you know, I've seen candidates walk out on stage at concerts.
That's right.
You know, sometimes people like that, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, we're here for music, not politics.
You know, one of the things I wanted to bring up today is something we're not talking about. So, you know, with Trump, that we've had all this talk about Russia, we've had all this talk about now he's back on the wall, right? And the media and everyone goes, you know, creates this frenzy, and that's what's driving the conversation nationally. The one thing that we're not talking about, that I'm reminded by my brother every week tweeting me on Monday, is he's like, no one is talking about Brett Kavanaugh, the nominee for the Supreme Court.
That's right.
Which is, I mean, every time he sends me this tweet once a week, or text, and it shocks me. I'm like, you're absolutely right.
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, look, I mean, number one, I think that Democrats are going through what Republicans did through 8 years of Obama. I mean, their activists kind of turn into cats that are distracted by shiny objects. So every day, Trump, whether rightly or wrongly, dangles something in front of them, and they're distracted, and they go and they respond to it, where it's hard to keep focus as a party, where if you really want to defeat the nomination of Judge Kavanaugh, you kind of have to have an ongoing campaign. We haven't talked about this guy
not
in
at all.
Weeks.
No.
Yeah.
No,
and
right.
so, and I think he's on a pretty clear shot to being nominated because of that.
So you think is this all part
Strategy?
of the logic? Yeah,
I don't know. I'll be honest
because
with you.
Because if it is, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant if it is. And Trump has done this stuff before. And I do think, I give him a little more credit than most people, that I do think there's something behind this. And that we're, you know, constantly being distracted by what I would call big ticket items right now, these two things. And, you know, meanwhile, something that should be, that impacts the country for maybe the next 20 to 30 years.
That's true when you consider
when you look at the court,
appointed lifelong.
that we're not talking about it is quite amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Now, something else I want to ask you about, whether or not we're starting to see some political ads for future presidential candidates are starting to surface already. Does that concern anyone?
Look, there's going to be a lot, especially Democrats, there's going to be a lot of people in Iowa to help their candidates. Well, they're also going to help introduce themselves to Iowa activists and voters that way. It's something to be expected. I wouldn't expect a lot of ads, but I do expect a lot of activity and travel to Iowa to help. I mean, because we have really contested toss-up races, whether you're talking about, you know, the 1st congressional district or the 3rd congressional district here in central Iowa, or the gubernatorial race. And so a lot is gonna, those are all races that could flip. And if Democrats win those, it kind of repaints Iowa. Right now, Iowa looks and acts like a really red state. We know that Iowa is much more of a battleground purple state. And so if it truly is, Democrats have to take back some of these big seats that are up. And they have the opportunity to do that.
Do you think there's ever going to be a time where an additional party is going to be able to come in and really make a run at either the presidency or the governor?
Yeah, maybe. I think that one of the things that Trump does is, I always refer to him as kind of the first transactional president. That I think is he a Republican? Yes. But does he have that strict Republican ideology? No. He's a deal maker. And so if he could get what he wants by working with the Democrats, he would do it. And I think this is kind of the beginning of that. I think we're going to see more transactional presidents that won't be held to such kind of rigid philosophy. And they want to get done what they want to get done. And so once you're in the office, I could see you kind of detaching a little bit from party when necessary to do it. And I think this could open the door. I mean, even Trump's election showed that celebrity, name ID, all that stuff can transcend. Look, everyone knows who Donald Trump is. I mean, I've known who Donald Trump is since I was like 12, right? And so when people like that start running for public office, it changes the dynamics. Does that mean there's a third party going to be brought in? I don't think so, but I do think in national presidential politics, there is an avenue for someone who's kind of can go above partisanship. And I think there is a lane open.
So you think that he's changed the face of what the president will look like in the future?
I do, and I think we should get used to it. Not necessarily his behavior, but how he actually uses the office, where it's not such a rigid ideology in there. He's in there to accomplish what he wants to accomplish. It's his. When we talk about trade and we talk about other things, this is how he views what he thinks is best for the country. I think we're going to see more of that, not less of that.
Yeah, he's testing the limits as to what people will accept and put up with.
And
really.
What we've seen in the past is you get comfortable, right? So someone pushes the limits. Well, then all of a sudden we become a little bit more comfortable, maybe not out here, but here. And so I think we'll see some of that. And that means that maybe someone is running, I think at the time being, if someone's running as a Democrat or a Republican, they're not going to feel to be such a rigid in line with kind of the party platform, so to speak. They can go out and be their own person. I think that's attractive to someone who, is either famous or has high name ID or comes from is a big name in business. I think that opens up this avenue to run for national office that typically I think they get caught up because it's difficult to deal with these parties and their positions.
And I think it also opens it up to voter response too. People to come out because they can relate a little bit more to.
Well, that's the one thing that Trump did. I mean, I go to these. I don't come from a political family. I'm the oddball. And I go to these. I know, that's why you have me on the show. But I go to these family gatherings and people that have never cared about politics, that have never. I wouldn't even know if they voted. They're invested in this guy.
They're talking about him.
And it shocks me.
Yep.
And they really like what they're doing. Now I talk to my activists, Republican insiders, and they're all complaining. There's a group of people out there who are like, this is what I voted for, and I like it.
And you're exactly right, because there are people that I've talked to, relatives, including Big Lou, that I've never talked to them about politics my entire life.
Yeah.
But since Trump became president, we've had conversations.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting, and so a lot of that is, so I listen to the media, I listen to the reaction, but I also. Look, when I'm spending 10 days with family down south, I listen to what they have to say, and I just take it all in. And it's, there's a counter to everything you hear. So
there you go.
That's why I don't get too high or too low.
There you go.
That works. There you go, folks. Your party scoop for this morning.
One scoop.
Craig
One
Robinson.
scoop.
It's all you need, right?
That's
One
all
scoop
you
this
need.
morning. Okay.